Honey, I have brought us food. Darling, I believe you're disordered. My love, I don't know what a year is, but you are so smart and so intelligent. I will go prepare the bear meat for us.
Autism is a neurodivergency affecting multiple aspects of a person's life, spanning from social difficulties to sensory issues to repetitive behaviors. Many groups work to cure autism and treat it like a terrible, life-ending condition. However, there may be a few benefits to autism, or at least it's not a net negative, evolutionary-wise. In today's society, there are obviously struggles for those with autism and socially how they're perceived, but I want to look into why it may have been beneficial evolutionarily. There's also a lot of people concerned about the rates of ASD increasing, and while the general consensus is that people with ASD are being diagnosed more since there's greater awareness spreading, I want you to look into the possibility that it's a genetics thing. So why does autism still exist? Now, to fully understand autism, we need to understand its history, but just like a brief overview. So typically the story of autism starts with Kanner and Asperger, and we'll get to them, but I want to start all the way back. Signs of autism in humans starts about 100,000 years ago, which just so happens to be about the time that humans became social. Shortly after this, we noticed tools being created such as microliths. Many people with ASD are interested in exact and specific topics, spending much of their lives dedicated to researching and partaking in that one interest. This is known as a special interest, which can be seen in many old dimensions. This can especially be seen at like 32,000 to 10,000 years ago with the Ice Age in Europe, such as with the Abry-Blancard plaquette and the Thai plaquette. This can be seen in more modern representations, such as with Ben Franklin, Leonardo da Vinci, and Albert Einstein. Now, Einstein was around for a small amount of time that ASD was recognized, but he was old, and old people rarely get diagnosed with it even now, and honestly, people over 12 can hardly get diagnosed. Now we're back to Kanner and Asperger. Asperger is more well known as he had a whole autism subtype named after him for a while, but he was a Nazi and supported eugenics. But Kanner was cool though. He was Jewish and moved to America slightly before World War II. He advocated for autistic youth and came up with the idea of infantile autism. Fun fact, before Kanner, autism was used as a term for the introspective symptoms of schizophrenia and was seen as like a precursor to it. Kanner is the one that separated autism from psychotic disorders. Now, if we skip to today, much more research has been done, and we have ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder. Rates of ASD have been increasing even just since 2000, going from 150 people to 136 people according to the CDC, which is fun. This is most likely due to this new research and more diagnosing going on, though there likely may be another reason that it hasn't completely gone out. So is ASD seen in any other creatures? Not too much research has been conducted on this, but there have been traits noted in different animals. This is especially seen in rodents, cats, and dogs, and probably other mammals. Personally, I would like to do more research on this, as ASD is present in animals. It shows that there may be some evolutionary benefit to it, or like it may not be a disorder at all. Now, what causes ASD? In simplistic terms, it's a wide variety of factors. However, most can be contributed to environmental and genetic factors, with the majority being genetics. Unfortunately, there are a lot of different genes that are in play with ASD, and many are unknown, which, honestly, being completely fair, makes sense. If you have a spectrum disorder, you're going to have more options than just autistic or not autistic. It's a wide variety of differences, but there are a few genes that have been known to code autism, such as these. As far as environmental factors go, preterm births, maternal high blood pressures, immune system issues with the mother, such as serious illness or autoimmune disease, and using certain drugs such as valproate are all pretty much confirmed in increasing the risk for autism. However, drinking pasteurized milk and vaccines do not cause autism. Yippee! There's also the question on how ASD specifically impacts the brain. ASD is a spectrum disorder and thus does not impact the brain the same in all people who have it. However, there have been studies that have shown basic similarities within different brains. This includes an enlarged hippocampus, a smaller amount of tissue in the cerebellum, and less white matter, more gray matter in the brain. I would like to focus on that last point. So white matter is the neurons that connect different regions, and gray matter is the matter in each specific region. This is known as connectivity theory, which is extremely interesting to me personally, since there are more neurons in each section of the brain with this theory. If it were to be true, autistic people would need more glucose than the average person, as the brain is one of the biggest consumers of glucose and ADP to ATP conversion in the mitochondria. There's also evidence that they have a different size amygdala, but we don't actually know what way. In my personal opinion, I think the amygdala varies depending on other conditions, such as anxiety, depression, or ADHD, all of which are comorbid with ASD, but not ASD specifically. So how does this all tie into it still being around? What benefits are there to ASD? Well, many of the symptoms of ASD actually would have been beneficial 100,000 years ago, but aren't today due to the society we've created. For example, the sensory issues typically associated with ASD are often heightened senses. This would have been good 100,000 years ago for hearing prey to go after, or predators that are going after you, but not today in grocery stores with hundreds of people talking and fluorescent lights. Autistic people also tend to have particularly good pattern recognition, which would have been useful for new scientific discoveries or noting when certain crops grow. Special interests are also common in autistic people and extremely beneficial in society where you don't really have outside complex responsibilities and other people can pick up your slack with food and resources and stuff. They're able to make new discoveries as they spend their entire life dedicated to just their one topic. There's also hyperlexia, which leads to them being able to pick up on reading better than other people, and rigidity with rules, which way made them better at being fair and splitting food amongst everyone. So, to conclude, yes, there are benefits to autism, and there are genuine evolutionary reasons to it still existing, as it proves to be a net benefit. To me personally, I think that thinking of ASD as a disorder is a kind of limiting mindset, though the term should still be used. It is a disorder due to the society that we've created, and there's nothing to be done about that now, but I really do hate how people will still treat those with ASD as rabid animals, and that it's something that desperately needs to be fixed. Using stuff like autism as a derogatory term is very... and people with autism aren't like these rabid animals that are diseased. If you want to do more research on this type of topic, especially like with autistic sociality, which I didn't mention here, I'll leave some links in the description. It's very interesting to me personally, and I hope it's just as interesting to you. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, and if you're in my class, please vote for me for the best video